Hey YouTube, Alan back with another Master System Monday pick, and this time we're taking a look at Golden Axe Warrior. Now, for those in the know, or those not in the know perhaps, Golden Axe Warrior, while a sort of sequel to Golden Axe, isn't really a sequel to Golden Axe at all. It is an unashamed clone of Zelda on the NES. And what I always say is, if you're going to steal, if you're going to copy, do so from the best. And you can, unfortunately, this doesn't really show you the gameplay. The attack mode is just tells you the story. Between the title screen and attack mode, you can tell there actually has some care and thought and craft gone into this. It plays actually in some ways better than the original Zelda. The graphics are nice. It has a bit more variety, I would say, in what you see and what you do. It possibly isn't as refined as Zelda in terms of puzzle mechanics. But then again, you look back at the first Zelda and it was basically kill all enemies in a room, push block. That was it. So Golden Axe Warrior is no slouch in that department and is definitely something, if you're interested in Zelda at all, you really should try for yourself. It is quite hard to find on the Master System today. It's one of the rare games. It came out in the US, but it was one of the last 3 or 4 releases, I think. So it's very rare. It came out in Europe, but being an action RPG, being an RPG kind of area, branded thing up here, I don't think it sold all that well. And I think it was also a bit more expensive than most games because it does, I think, have battery backup. So it's also quite desirable. So it's hard to find a physical copy. Your best bet is either emulation or I believe it was included as a hidden unlockable on the Sega Mega Drive collection on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So that might be one of the best ways to play this game today. Anyway, onto the physical stuff. You have your standard cartridge, nothing too fancy or unique to see there. You have a portrait style manual. Now this is true regardless if you're in PAL or US. I think my copy might be actually US. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. 1991 printed in Japan, but of course not released in Japan. So this is an entirely English manual, and it's really nice because you see you get your pictures of your various enemies. I think the center, you got a lot of survival tips. Learn when to use your sword and when to use your axe. That is true. One of the challenges of this game, and it's probably the one knockback compared to like Zelda, there's no pause button on the controller, so you have to pause via the system itself, which is a bit clunky because you want to change your weapons and stuff like that. So you got your items, descriptions, and yeah, I knew there was kind of a starter map. There's no big pull-out map, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's kind of like Zelda 1 where you had the manual kind of gave you the how do you get going. So it tells you where Labyrinth 2 is and Labyrinth 1 is, so it tells you how to kind of the opening part of the game, and you kind of need it because it is pretty unforgiving. You got your various items, different armors and stuff, enter your name. So yeah, this is a good manual. And I mean, to be honest, back in the day, there was no internet. You needed your manuals to have this type of information when you're playing a game like Golden Axe Warrior or Zelda, because they're both obtuse at times. And then, of course, you get your box. Now, this was, it must have just been before Sega switched into the more standard kind of late release format. My sample kit, this one, the late release format, you've probably seen one to buy quite a few times by now. So it has that kind of big artwork with Sega, no Master System branding, just Sega, and then Golden Axe Warrior. Same with the spine. Whoop, you got the Golden Axe Warrior, and then you got a full language, full English language back in the box. So we've got a lot to read out this time. Golden Axe Warrior, world peace is at stake. Well, listen, it always. That adder, a wicked giant, has stolen the 9 crystals from the kingdom of Firewood and has hidden them in 9 labyrinths. That's kind of convenient. There was 9 labyrinths. What happens if there had been 8 labyrinths? Would he have put... that he has created. Oh, he created them. That makes more sense. He created them to meet the need. These 9 magic crystals protected the people from evil, especially from that adder's grasp. But now that the crystals are lost, the world is defenseless. So there's plenty more. And you can see there's, screenshots. From the screenshots there, you can see it's very clearly kind of overhead Zelda style stuff, but nicely presented, great graphics and whatnot. So yeah, definitely one to watch out for. As I said, very hard to come by in physical form today, but if you can, I'd recommend picking up. Now, my copy, actually, the reason why I got it from a person on the Sega 8-bit forums years ago, and I came from the US, which is why I think it's a US copy. There is a way to verify. You can check the numbers and stuff. But it actually also included this sheet, which were a few hints written down by, I'd say, whoever owned it originally. Apparently Riskas or Rixas is a town in the west with a hidden cave. Chop down a tree in the town or near the town, and, and there's a golden apple. So I left that because, you know, I kind of find those things kind of cute. I mean, I didn't do so much of it when I was a kid, but it's nice to find. Anyway, there we go. That's Golden Axe Warrior. One of the best games on the systems, in my opinion, albeit a bit brutal to find and brutal in difficulty too. Anyway, see you next time.